Dead Space Remake review, or better to say, as I like to call this one, Dead Space Zero Gravity. 15 years later, we received a full remake of Dead Space. At least that's how devs and media are presenting this game. They call it a masterpiece. Yes, Dead Space 1 from 15 years ago was indeed a masterpiece, innovative game that saved the entire survival horror genre. But what about its remake? Let's go to sections and rate this game properly as it deserves. I must make comparison to original while doing this review. The first section is the story. One of the most unique stories in survival horror. Isaac against necromorphs, from engineer to necroslayer. Crazy good story, full with mystery and surprises, received Hollywood-like narration and spoiled Dead Space 2 and 3 with this remake of Dead Space 1. Mention of Brethren Moons and Make Us Whole should not even exist in Dead Space 1. They ruined the entire Dead Space 2 story with Nicole. Convergence also, it got spoiled. I was afraid that something like this could happen in a remake, and it happened. Yes, you should play original trilogy before playing Dead Space Remake, and that's a fact. New sequences were added in terms of mini cutscenes, fully acted and voice acted of course. They will prolong game time slightly more than in the original. Some will love it. I don't have anything against new approach to the story. 95% of it remained the same as in the original, with far more spoilers for the next game. I love Dead Space lore, characters, atmosphere, USG, Shimura. All of that credit goes to original. A remake will receive 9 out of 10. It's still good, don't get me wrong, but not as good as original. Next section would be game bugs and optimization. Dear God, where do I start? People were losing saves, crashes, deleted progress. Thank God that never happened to me on my run. But I was warned every single time when I was supposed to enter the game from the EA launcher that there is a chance I might lose my save files when I click on play. I repeat, I need to repeat this. I was warned from the EA that I might lose my saved files. That is their solution. A freaking warning. Good job, EA. You never stop to amaze me. Aside from that nonsense, performance is awful, and I mean it. Stutterings non-stop on every 5 minutes, unplayable no matter the setting, low or ultra. I kept it on ultra, died on my impossible run after 5 hours cause of stutterings, and then game loaded, transferred me on hard from the impossible, and boom, game works smooth. Good job, EA, you got memory leaks. I realized if I want to play this game in its smooth version, I'll need to load the game every time when I save and avoid memory leaks. Even then, stutters would happen, but not as often. Unforgiving performance from this remake. It was the most important thing to do after all, enhance graphics and make the game work smooth. Everything else was brilliant from the original version, of course. Alas, they failed. Still no solution for performance, bugs and crashes, deleted save files are still happening to a lot of people that are playing the game right now, and somehow media reviews are ignoring all of those facts. Well, I can't ignore this, and I'll openly say it. 40% of the game works well and smooth, 60% of the game is a stutter chore. That's reality. 2 out of 10, fix your game, EA. Next section would be game time. It took me 20 hours to finish the game. I played it slow. I was reading all messages from chat, doing all side quests, and taking my time to speak with people while I was streaming. Valid time is around 10 to 12 hours to finish this. $60 for a game that exists for 15 years with better graphics and awful performance. That's a lot. In some countries, it goes all the way up to $100, by the way. It's unreal. This entire remake is not worth more than $20, especially not in this state. Replay value is there. I still need to start my new game plus, by the way. Overall, a short game, overpriced, and that's how it is. 3 out of 10, and once I see a normal price, this score will rise. Next section would be game difficulty. I died maybe 3 times in total during the entire run. Every time it was cause of stutters, and I played on the hardest difficulty as well. Not enough challenge. The game is even easier than the original, or it's just me that got used to Dead Space mechanics, so I find the game easy and not scary at all. Maybe my point of view here is a bit of out of line, but Remake didn't have 20% of total impact like the original had on me. It's still Dead Space, don't get me wrong, but man, it was easy. 7 out of 10 for game difficulty. Next section, maps and graphics. If we ignore stuttering, game looks amazing. I love it. Graphics add so much to the immersion. For someone that never played Dead Space, they will think how this remake is the best game in the world right now. Maps, it's USG Shimura that you can freely roam around now. You can backtrack everything, backtracking is available, and it won't lock you out like original did. UI is the best and most innovative thing in video gaming history, but credit for the UI goes to original, not the remake. Remake just copied from it. All in all, I don't have a single complaint about this section. Perfect 10 out of 10, the game looks amazing. Next section, gameplay. Horror survival that turns into third-person shooter after a few hours. Unique way to dispose of enemies, innovative combat and camera angles, but all of that credit again goes to the original, not to remake. What can I say? It's fun, never boring, amazing gameplay from start to finish, packed with action and horror. Remake decided to add a lot of zero gravity gameplay, and that's the biggest change in this remake from the original. I got sick of zero gravity after a few hours in, and game bombarded with zero gravity from start to finish. Some will say how they created something new, how it's innovative, how it changed Dead Space 1 with zero gravity. I will remind you that this remake did not create zero gravity mechanics, they just copied zero gravity mechanics from Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3. Overuse of zero gravity in Dead Space Remake is obvious, and that's why I call this game Dead Space Zero Gravity. I'm not a fan of that, zero gravity on every 15 minutes. I like the style of the original more than this one. All in all, 9 out of 10 gameplay is still fun and addicting. Next section would be leveling and itemization. Some new upgrades for weapons in this remake, but overall it's the same as original. Perfect leveling and itemization in this survival horror. It doesn't get better in the genre overall. There is always something to upgrade and new things to level up. Suit upgrades are straight amazing, by the way. Stasis and kinesis are brilliant. Every segment is balanced to perfection. Credit goes to original, not to remake again. I must say this often cause I mean it. 10 out of 10 for leveling and itemization. Next section would be NPCs and enemies. Amazing NPCs. Necromorphs are probably one of the best mobs ever created in a video gaming history, and one of the most unique too. Plenty of different necromorphs to dismember with 4 trivial boss fights, but at least they look amazing. Enemy variety is huge for this genre. NPCs in the game, they're extremely important for the story, and they're quite memorable too, especially main protagonist and his wife. 10 out of 10 for NPCs and enemies. Last section, music and sound. Strongest part of Dead Space are its sound effects. They're absolutely brilliant. Voice acting is also great now. Isaac is not a mute anymore like in the original. Music is amazing. Overall, music and sound is probably one of the best ever in video gaming history for this genre. 10 out of 10. Final verdict. We got 9 sections with 70 points, and that would be 7.7 out of 10 for Dead Space Remake, or better to say, Dead Space Zero Gravity. What can I say? Legendary game is the original. This one is a good Hollywood-like coat of paint added to already amazing game. If performance is fixed and price goes down to $20, this will be very close to 9 out of 10. Now, all of numbers aside, final advice. Play originals first. If you never played Dead Space, play full trilogy and then play this remake. Play this remake only on huge discount. Wait for patches. If EA, of course, decides to fix this game. Dead Space is a legendary game, maybe the best survival horror ever created, and everyone should give it a shot. Remake is fine, but I won't hop in on praise bandwagon and say how it's GOTY contender for 2023, cause it's not. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.